Welcome to Film Studies A-Level. This is going to be a tour through the subject. There are 5 people that are going to talk to you about Film Studies A-Level. Myself, who I'll introduce in a minute, a colleague, and 3 of our wonderful students. Film Studies is part of the English Media and Film Studies faculty, but we are delighted to be able to speak to you about the wondrous subject that is Film Studies. So my name is Tanya Jones. I'm the head of English Media and Film Studies. I am a little bit of background, an experienced examiner, published 22 plus publications on film and media studies, and have been teaching this for over 20 years to A-level film studies students. So I'm delighted to be hosting this presentation. My colleague Caroline Burks.
Hello, yes, my name's Caroline Burks and I have been teaching media and film for over 20 years as well. I've also been an examiner just like Tanya. I've used many of Tanya's books in my teaching and I've also written a few bits myself and love teaching my subjects, so really pleased to talk to you.
Fabulous, thank you Caroline, and our wonderful students.
Hi, my name is Daisy. I'm a first year film studies student.
My name's Sasha. I'm also a first year film studies student.
And my name's Poppy and I'm a second year film student.
Excellent, thank you. Right, I'm going to now share with you a presentation that we are then going to go through to give you some idea about the course and what kinds of exciting things you will be studying. Can you see this presentation, everyone? Yeah, you can edit that. Sorry. Right, so an introduction to film studies. Now, the first thing to say about this is that you are speaking to 5 people who absolutely love film. You know, we are not just in a classroom together, you know, because somehow it's a good A-level that fits in with other things, although it is. We're there because we love film. So you are looking at a course where you would come into a room with real sort of passion and energy for the subject. And that's something that's wonderful for both Caroline and I, and hopefully for the students as well. Right, so why study EMF at Hills? English Media and Film. It's, as I said, it's a faculty. The joy of it is that quite a few students do subjects across those areas, so that we can bring in our interest in, you know, the primary things about good teaching, so collaboration, energy, sort of dynamism, excitement and enthusiasm for the subject. So when you come into English Media and Film Studies at Hills Road, you have all of these opportunities. You will be creative, you will be intellectually stimulated. It's a very supportive department, so please don't feel that you have to have some sort of raft of A-stars in order to get into Hills Road or the department. You know, we are a faculty that wants you to do extremely well, so whatever support needs you have, we will of course help you with those. We look at challenging concepts. So that's 2 ways to read that, isn't there? We look at challenging concepts, i.e. difficult, initially at least, concepts. So things that you might not have encountered before. But we also want our students to have their own voices, to be confident and articulate and empowered to have their own views of things, have their own views of these films and the ideologies and the concepts in them. So it's about arming you, you know, prospective students, with the confidence and the ability to be able to challenge what you're seeing. We engage in a lot of debates. We like students to think independently, and if students think independently, then they are more likely to be able to articulate a sort of substantiated, fully formed, you know, wonderful voice about the films we look at. We question assumptions, which obviously is part and parcel of challenging concepts. Now, books change the world, films change the world. You know, everybody has an experience of watching films. You know, you may have seen mostly mainstream films, mostly independent, or a mixture of the 2. Whatever your film experience to date is absolutely, you know, wonderfully useful within the subject. Do any of you students want to add anything to that? Have I missed anything? Do you want to give a bit of flesh to what I'm saying, or your experiences?
Yeah, for me, I think one of the best things about walking into film class was just walking into a room full of other people who enjoyed and appreciated film as much as I did, and then being able to engage in debates with them as well has been really exciting, because it challenges what I initially thought about film. Because previously to this course, I mostly looked at mainstream film, but looking at more independent films and discovering other people's unique tastes in film has been just really eye-opening. And in my spare time now, I'll go and look at a more diverse range of films, and I'll question what I'm seeing a bit more.
That's wonderful. Yes, thank you. Right, so those are our sort of general aims. The course now. I'm sure Caroline will agree with me. We really like this course. We really enjoy it. We think it's been put together well. It is as a chronologically based structure in the first year. So you would go right from the silent era through to the 1980s with film history. The first year takes in all sorts of kind of wondrous points in film history and the development of film, such as surrealism. You can see there with the section B, European cinema history, surrealism, Chenin de Lou and L'Âge d'Or. We also look at French New Wave. So for somebody that wants to become, I suppose, armed with the knowledge and the understanding of particular points in film history, which incrementally, and when you put them together, build a picture of how film got to where it is now, the course is wonderful. So the first component, you will look at film history. First of all, you look at the silent era. You have a look at a wonderful film called Sunrise by Murnau. We also look at Vertigo, obviously a classic from the auteur Alfred Hitchcock. And then we go into Do the Right Thing, which is a phenomenal piece of cinema, which is caused sort of furore when it came out. Do the Right Thing in 1989. So those are a really nice kind of combination of pieces, which structurally, technically, in terms of their aesthetics, really do map a course through film history. The second part of component one is to look at European cinema history, as I've just referenced. And, we look at things that challenge. We look at things that, might make you reframe the way in which you understand film grammar. And by film grammar, I mean camera work and editing and mise en scène and sound. So the kinds of film that wants to do something different. So it's a wonderful place to start. I'm just wondering, from the students' point of view, which films have you particularly enjoyed? Which were your favourites in that selection?
My favourite film that we've learnt so far in the course is Breathless, or A Bout de Souffle. A Bout de Souffle.
Good.
I really enjoyed it. It's a kind of a mix of, it's a French New Wave film, and you have this really interesting pace throughout, and a jazz score, which I just love. And it's definitely become one of my favourite films just generally of all time. And it's been really nice to just kind of experience that through the film course and not just through my own kind of watching.
So I really enjoyed Vertigo. I think the characters in it are really, really interesting, and it's got a storyline that keeps on taking you to places that you don't expect it to. I think because it's a film with so many layers, it really does lend itself to something that you actually can class. Allows you to explore different things and being able to debate about it with students. It really does let you get into the complexity and see different parts from different perspectives.
Thank you. Yes, lovely. Absolutely. I share all those opinions. So on component two, which is where we get to the critical approaches to film, this is where theory comes in. So we are, obviously it's a synoptic unit. We're taking everything that we learned from the first part of the course, which is to obviously look at textual analysis, thinking about cinematography, mise en scène, sound and editing in terms of how they construct meaning, but also bringing in discussions about ideology, bringing in discussions about critical frameworks, such as auteur theory, or theories around spectatorship, or theories around sort of feminist readings of texts. And all of those things are evident within this part of the course. So component 2, section A, we go into some contemporary British and US film. The 2 texts are Skywall, what's that? Edit that. Skyfall and Star Wars. Big budget franchise blockbusters. We look at those and investigate them in terms of, you know, the extent to which the auteur is part of this level of budgeting and production, how spectatorship dynamics work. We look at viewing contexts. We look at socio-political contexts, historical contexts. So there's a whole host of things that's really interesting and different about that section A. Documentary comes into section B, and students study the different types of documentary, the different engagement strategies that are used in order to present particular meanings and messages and values. And section C, ideology, we look at the theme of conflict, and we look at the way in which conflict is represented in 3 films from 3 different national contexts. Very interesting to see how conflict is articulated through the film grammar in something like Hurt Locker, and then differently District 9 and The Grandmaster. Caroline, do you want to say anything else about component 2?
Well, I was just going to say, generally, all of our films are films that you can say a lot about. They're really good films to write about, because you can really get your teeth into some of the debates surrounding the films and the way in which they've been made. I think probably one of my favourite things to teach there is probably documentary, just because of the way that the audience is engaged and the techniques and the way that we're persuaded to believe what we're seeing on screen is real. So there are real debates there to be had too. But yeah, a great range of films and good diversity, I think, within the films as well. You know, lots of different directors, different countries represented,
Yes.
and different subject matters, which is brilliant.
Absolutely, yes. And the thing I kind of keep wanting to say in the back of my head is that, you know, we're talking about a course here that, you know, you will be accessing via an induction. Now, the induction part of the course is really important, because if you are a student who hasn't studied these subjects before, you need a way to feel confident when you actually hit the course content proper. So we have a sort of 2.5 week, 3 week induction course that gives you a feeling and an experience of every single text that Caroline and I have been talking about, and uses those texts as a way to introduce you to all of the main micro and macro elements that we've been discussing. So the camera work, the editing, mise-en-scène sound, genre and narrative, all of those things, talking about audience, talking about spectatorship. You will have a 3 week condensed introduction to those things at the beginning, so that everybody feels after those 3 weeks that they have, you know, a real understanding and knowledge of the entire course. So I think that's worth saying. And if you are feeling like, oh, I don't know anything about documentary, well, you don't yet. That's the point, you know, and you will do.
If I could add, so
yes.
I didn't personally do GCSE film studies. This was my first time doing it, and it's kind of amazing to me how quickly I've picked up almost like a whole new language about kind of the way I look at films and the way I talk about them. It's such a fun skill to kind of pick up, and it just conversation wise kind of translating that to just my personal life, talking about films and media with different people. It's a really great skill that I've learned, and I've really enjoyed kind of learning it, picking it up along the course.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Sasha. Yeah.
Just adding to that, by the end of the induction period, you couldn't really tell a difference between the people who studied media and film at GCSE and the people who hadn't. That we felt on a level playing field.
Thank you, Poppy. Perfect. And that's what we aim at. Yeah, thank you. So there's the course, there's your overview. Apart from, obviously, component 3, now if you are a budding filmmaker, I suppose this is probably the point that you would be looking forward to the most. So we have our NEA, our coursework elements, students either make a short film or a screenplay and a digital storyboard with an evaluation of that. There's quite a lot of freedom in terms of the content and the particular aesthetic of these pieces. The parameter really is only that it's a short film, and clearly you can't do something with a massive budget and epic scale with a short film. But it's a really, really good opportunity to move out of component 1, which is where you're learning all about film history, and by the end of the first year start thinking about how you might like to show, manifest your skills in film analysis in filmmaking. So for Sasha and Daisy, that's what they're just about to start doing. Wonderful.
I think it's sort of worth saying there, isn't it, that if the thought of having a camera in your hand petrifies you, then the screenplay is a really nice option. You've still got that creativity and perhaps a little bit more freedom than actually filming yourself, but it's lovely to have the choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose the other thing to say is that we provide the cameras, we provide the software. We have an audio visual manager here who helps students to learn how to use the cameras, also to learn how to use Premiere Pro, and students get a license to use from home for that software anyway, which is really good. So you get all the support with it. If you haven't done any of this before, you will get all the support. Right, so there are students who do both film and media studies. Now, one of the most frequently asked questions is, what's the difference? So the media studies course covers a wide range of media forms. That's the most obvious point of distinction. There is a small part in the media studies course which is film, and that's film marketing, but it's from an industry and audience perspective rather than a textual analysis perspective. So the other things that you would look at on the media studies course would be things like radio and television and newspapers and video games and documentaries. Not documentaries. Online media. So there are quite significant differences. The crossovers might be some of the language that's used for textual analysis, but the range of text that you would get in a media studies course is obviously very different from film studies, which goes much, much deeper into different aspects of film history, different aspects of film aesthetics. But as I've said, some students do both and they go very well with each other. And if you are thinking about a career in the creative industries, it's a really, really good combination. Right, so skills. What skills will you gain? I mean, obviously, the 3 students that we're talking to today are all exceptional young people who have, learned these skills with a rapidity, yes, with a confidence and an enthusiasm, which has made them, really skilled film analysts fairly early on, which is really impressive. So the skills you will learn on the course: thinking about film movements, styles and forms, film grammar fluency. So that's the really interesting one. That's, imagine yourself sat around a dinner table, you're swirling your brandy around, somebody's trying to show off their knowledge of film, trying to catch you out on what you have or haven't seen, and then you just floor them with your exceptionally eloquent analysis of whichever film, mainstream or otherwise, with your articulate, fluent film grammar. I always like that image. This is what students are going to do in the future. You have a high level of textual analysis skills, and you have an understanding and ability to apply critical frameworks. Not just apply the frameworks, but to understand and challenge and interrogate the frameworks and use the parts of the frameworks that you think are particularly relevant to your argument. Your voice is everything. Everything else underpins it. And then you learn how to be creative. So that's a really lovely package of skills that you would get from the course. So the assessment model, it's important that you know what kind of assessment there is and what sort of support with the assessment. So we're looking at 6 key assessment points a year. These are all scaffolded. That's edu speak for, you are supported, you are given help. We're very hot in the department and the film studies team at helping you to write, to give you the skills to formulate paragraphs, formulate introductions, and have the confidence to construct a systematic and comprehensive and substantiated piece of writing. Get lots of feedback from both your peers and obviously your teachers, and then self-assessment too. So it's a reflective course, what did I think about this essay? What did my teacher think? What did my peers think? How can I make it better? Okay, so just a little bit more about support. Obviously you have it in class by subject experts, and as you've heard, we are subject experts. The scaffolding is obviously there in terms of help from us in the classroom. There are also sessions outside of the classroom in terms of English Media and Film Plus sessions. You could have one-to-one if necessary, and also there's extra sessions for support for university applications. We don't think the subject ends at the end of the lesson or the parameters of the classroom. If you need help, you need to say what help you need, and you will get that help. Okay, that's our commitment to you. Now, this is important, and we can get some feedback from both Caroline and the students here. It's an experience, isn't it? Film studies is a wonderful subject. We love it. It's important that students at Hills Road have an experience that's a kind of wonderful journey outside of the classroom as well as inside the classroom. So we do our best to bring in visiting speakers, to go on trips, to have joint ventures with organisations within Cambridge and the wider area to find and furnish you with links with HE providers so you can have a look at the kinds of courses that are available. So in terms of visiting speakers, we have had a film documentary speaker that's joined us recently. We have had somebody that makes short films around Cambridgeshire. We've had a TV and film director that's come in. So we have really good connections with these people, and they are invariably very, very happy and very generous with their time and want to help young people. Caroline, do you want us to talk about trips and things?
Yeah, we've had plenty of trips in the past. We often do things like the Harry Potter studios. Doesn't matter if you're not a Harry Potter fan, obviously you learn about kind of special effects and the kind of different roles and responsibilities with on a film set. We've also done trips to Disneyland Paris for various conferences, and I suppose most recently we had a group that went to the Berlin Film Festival. So I really like going on a trip, so if there's something that you want to go and do, then I'm always open to suggestions. But yeah, we love a trip. And we love kind of bringing our subject to life even more by visiting different places, different locations.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the phrase, isn't it? Let's bring it to life. Let's take it outside the classroom. Okay, so student performance. It's well above national average, as you can see. So the A star to B rate for A-level film studies is 79%. That's the average. At the moment, nationally, it's 49%. And A star to E is 100%. So we are extremely happy and proud of our achievements for students. It's the students that commit. They do the independent work. They are enthusiastic, conscientious, diligent, all those things. And what that means is they get those kind of results, which is incredible. Right, so destinations. Now, you might think it's a bit early to be thinking about this. No, it isn't. If this is something that you want to take on into your progression to after Hills Road, these are some of the courses that students have followed, and you can see there's a big range of things. Film studies doesn't necessarily just lead to a film studies degree, it can lead into anything within the creative industries. So this year we've got students who have got offers to go to Leeds University, we've got offers to Bournemouth University, we've got somebody going to Sussex, somebody going to Warwick, we've got a student who is going to New York, to the New York Film School. I think it's about 60% of the film studies class this year is going on to do a film studies related course later on, which is wonderful. So it's exciting, isn't it? You know, having to think about what you might want to do after Hills Road. So would any of you like to talk about any of the opportunities that you've taken up?
So at the beginning of the year, our teachers, there was the Water Sprite Film Festival was at the beginning of the year, and I, as a class, we got the opportunity to help judge and watch some of the short films, and I participated in that. I got to watch loads of amazing short films and be part of the judging experience for it, which was a really great experience.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, well, I think that's probably everything that we can say to you about Do Our course. Hands up who loves film. Right, there you go. That's why you need to do the course, because you know you'll be sitting in a classroom with people that you know have a real kind of energy and passion for the subject. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you so much to the students for joining in, and Caroline, my colleague, and we would you know very much like to see you doing film studies at Hills Road. And goodbye for now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.